Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of Magento Extension Quality Podcast. I'm Jakub from qoliber. Today I have with me Jisse Reitsma, an absolute legend from the Magento ecosystem. So, Jisse, I don't think you need an introduction here to the community.
Well, maybe I should or maybe I shouldn't, but let's actually focus upon the topics, right?
Right.
Magento Extension Quality, 3 words.
Yeah, so tell us why we want to bring this podcast back and actually discuss Magento quality extensions.
Yeah, and I think that we personally have a stake in this. We're developing Magento extensions. We're trying to lift quality levels up in there, but it's no understatement if we say that the Magento market of extensions knows very good examples of extensions with a high quality, but we also see some lesser code quality examples. I think actually everyone who's involved with the Magento ecosystem, whether you're a Magento developer, an extension developer, an agency owner, or even a merchant, you know about that it's basically very important to have good quality extensions. And those discussions have been living for a long time already in the ecosystem since Magento 1. Simply put, we're hoping to revive the existing discussion again a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think that everybody is aware what was Extension Developer Network. So could you tell a few words about it?
Yeah, so my hair is getting gray, and so ExtDN really feels from almost like a distant past, and it's actually good to bring up that past again. Personally, on a personal level, I've been doing extension development for a long time. In the meantime, I've also been training a lot of different developers, trying to find out basically all of the details of what quality actually involves. But as an extension developer, I've always been working together with a couple of other extension developers back then. And I need to explain in a moment what back then actually means. Like, what is the history that we're dealing with here? But back then, ExtDN was basically an initiative founded by Christoph from Fullman, and he had a couple of reasons actually to try to bring extension developers all together. And back then, Fullman was basically the first initial party involved. A lot of other extension developers also joined, like Custom Gento from Germany. The one-step checkout, among which Chen Lan, who's now working for Hufa. We also had Headworks, Digital, so a lot of different extension developers. And along with that discussion with extension developers, we had a topic on extension quality. So that's basically looping back to what we're going to discuss. But actually back then, that was not the first goal. And that's important to lay down. So ExtDN stands for Extension Developer Network. And we only started that back then to have a way of discussing things with Magento itself, because back then Magento had a lot of different ideas about coming up with better quality guidelines on the Magento marketplace. A lot of people were active in the Magento marketplace, and all of those people within Magento were actually unable to talk to all of the extension developers at once. So ExtDN was basically just a forum, a platform to try to talk to Magento on all kinds of different topics. And this was kind of like after the eBay thing. So this was the beginning of Magento 2, kind of like the end of Magento 1. And at that moment, extension quality sooner or later also dropped in. It was just one of the many things that we did back then. But yeah, so ExtDN, a couple of times people ask me also nowadays, like, well, what about ExtDN? I simply have to say it's dead. We decided to pull the plug about 3 years ago or so. And this was done actually with all of the different ExtDN members being involved back then. And we decided like, hey, theoretically, it's maybe time for a new initiative. We felt we did our job back then with the Magento Marketplace, coming up with initiatives like better coding guidelines, PHP Code Sniffer improved. And all of that got circled back into Magento itself. ExtDN is no longer, but then Magento quality is still a thing.
Yeah, so maybe we, as Magento 2, maybe we need like ExtDN 2.0.
Yeah, and of course, in preparation of this podcast, we actually mentioned another thing that happened, which is COVID. It almost seems stupid to talk about it, but if we talk about the history of Magento extension quality, then we need to mix in COVID. Everyone stayed at home. The market changed. A lot of players left the market. A lot of players maybe came back again after a while. But in all of that, ExtDN didn't happen anymore. Adobe took over. Nowadays, I almost believe that the Magento Marketplace is dead as well. So it's not called Magento Marketplace anymore.
Yeah, I remember in Magento, Florida this year, we had this discussion among agency owners, and Magento Marketplace was one of the points of discussion. And I believe somebody actually said those words that, yeah, Magento Marketplace is also dead. There are many reasons behind it. Probably, I don't want to blame it on the poor extension quality, but we want to focus about extensions because, let's be honest, Magento extensions can be success for a project, or it can be absolute doom for a project. And because there are no common standards, there are no common rules how to write the extensions. Well, obviously, if you've been in the Magento ecosystem for years, you've been a developer mostly your entire life, you broke at least one or two keyboards doing Magento, trying to figure things out, then you know how to do stuff, right? But Magento is such a large and vast platform that writing good code, actually, like I mentioned, it's a success or it's for a project. And if you do the code in the wrong way, and we see a lot of extensions done in a not best way, they actually jeopardize performance, but we'll address those issues in our next sessions. But yeah, do you think it's safe to say that picking the right extensions, picking the right vendors is a key to success with your Magento ecosystem, with your Magento project?
Yeah, I think it's vital. Every time that I would talk to an agency and the developers of that agency, there's always stories about extensions not working properly, the troubleshooting taking ages. And then if you open up the extension code, it's often stupid stuff that is just in there, like composer dependencies not being met, code that is actually badly written and therefore not complying to coding standards, etc., etc. And those annoyances are just step one, right? If the worst examples are actually extensions that are insecure or bad for performance or causing bugs in live environments and etc. So I personally think that we all know and realize that extension quality is highly important. It's just that there's not a common initiative anymore to address all of these points.
Yeah, so that's why we have this call, because we want to bring this initiative back, right? So if you're watching this video, make sure that you follow us and join us on Slack, join us on Discord. Meet us at Mage Titans Groningen. Meet us at Meet Magento Netherlands in November. So the more people we get involved in this, the better the Magento ecosystem will be. Maybe the more pressure we can actually put on the extension vendors to improve their overall code quality. And I think the worst thing that you could find actually in an extension is a backdoor. And I actually haven't seen this in Magento 2 extensions, but I remember Magento 1 extensions actually had a backdoor that allowed you to access the admin data, download the customer data, or even inject the malicious script into the code. I don't want to name particular extension that actually did that, but I think that everybody knows which one we are talking about.
So actually, back then in the Magento Marketplace, I one time published an extension that was open source and perfectly fine. And I got through strict guidelines of the Magento Marketplace. But then I uploaded the second version of the same extension. And then at the upload of the second version, the stricter guidelines of the Magento Marketplace were actually dropped. And at that moment, I added some security features in there as a proof of concept. And it basically showed that it's all about a level of trust. So if everyone is trusting the security measurements that the Magento Marketplace is taking to be working, then you basically assume that everything that you install from that marketplace is good. But the reality is actually that that's not the case. And it's not about the security parts, but it's also about just code being badly written and not being extensible to other developers and etc. Yeah, extension quality is a bad thing, but what we would love to see is actually that there's more trust for specific security and performance guidelines in general, coding guidelines for extension developers to work with, and that basically we can bring up a certain discussion, because that discussion has gone cold, and it almost seems that with COVID and the passing away of ExtDN, the takeover of Adobe and other changes in the market, that discussion on extension quality also has gone cold. And that's just a pity because it's so relevant.
Yeah, and it's just it doesn't just affect Magento, right? We're talking about MageOS. So we have great community initiatives. We see a lot of great extensions. For example, Huva, it's also an extension. It's a theme with a set of extensions. We get Huva Commerce, which is also a set of extensions. So community creates a lot of great stuff, but we also need to be sure that we pay attention to others. So that's why we want to bring back this extension developer network. Maybe we'll come with a different name. We'll see. Let's discuss it at Mage Titans Groningen. So, Isa, I think let's wrap this up. So, everybody, thanks for watching. I believe we want to bring this back. This is first session out of many that Isa and I, and hopefully much more of you will join, and we can discuss and actually establish working guidelines for all the extension vendors to improve the overall Magento ecosystem. And why? Because we are seeing merchants coming back to Magento, and we don't want to see them or you as an agency repeating the same mistakes by promoting an extension that will make everybody say, hey, Magento is bad, Magento is slow. It's not, right? We are on the phase where Magento and MageOS are stable, good, most customizable platform on the market. And we hate to see their names being put into the trash bin just because some extension jeopardized the entire platform as it is.
Perfectly put.
All right. Thank you, Isa. Now, see you in a couple of days. And
for sure.
Thanks everybody for watching.
See you soon.